Hello and welcome to another Football History Boys Unpopular Opinions special. We put out a tweet asking for you guys to let us know your unpopular football history opinions, and you have once again given us loads of different answers, and we're going to go through some of them today. Right, do you want to start us off? It wasn't on our Twitter, this was on one of our YouTube videos.
Yeah, this is what I said we need to do another one of these videos. So on our football history best 11 draft, so one player per decade, which is a great video, check it out, that was a good challenge, wasn't it, if you haven't watched it. We had someone comment saying Messi's overrated, Iniesta was the best player of the 2010s. I said that's crazy, that's insane.
Yeah.
And he's come back, saying the Messi Ronaldo hype is what's built it up, but actually Spain were built and Barca were built through Iniesta, and that Messi's just a bit of a fanboy culture.
I said it before that Iniesta, back in 2009, when Pep won the first European Cup for Barcelona since '92, people would turn the TV on to watch Iniesta and not Messi back in 2009, because Iniesta was like playing this, he was like no one had seen him before. But then Messi went stratospheric with his goal scoring, with his influence, with his false nine role. And I do feel that is a bit of a crazy comment.
That's insane. Messi was insane, and Sky back then had La Liga. It was great actually. Sky had everything: Champions League, La Liga, Premier League. I would watch more La Liga than Premier League at times to watch Messi. I watched so much of that Barcelona team, and he was so good, so good. You cannot call him overrated. I mean, he's still doing it. The other day for Inter Miami, 5 assists in a game. Totally get it that obviously he's not playing where he used to, but in it everything he did was amazing. That one sort of like almost like a chipped golf shot onto the green, perfectly played with backspin for Suarez, so the ball sort of stopped dead for Suarez to put it. Everything he did, the creativity of him, he was so good. And then obviously you've got the goals that he scored from his own half. You've got the goal he scored against Real Madrid. Yeah. He was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. But his creativity... Ronaldo's probably the greatest goal scorer of all time. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Messi, as an all-round player, I think is absolutely the greatest of all time.
Okay, moving on. Right, thank you for that one. Bobby Robson should have brought Dave Besson on for the penalty shootout in the 1990 World Cup semi-final. So, of course, England lost the World Cup semi-final to Germany, or West Germany, in the 1990 World Cup. Peter Shilton in goals. Doesn't do very well in the shootout. I think he kind of just falls rather than dives. So a lot of them. Dave Besson in 1988 had saved John Aldridge's penalty in the FA Cup final. I don't know if that would have made much difference.
It's a bit
Germans penalties.
Obviously, what Netherlands did, wasn't it, in the World Cup?
That would have been massive back in
Bring on Krull. It would never have happened, would it?
No.
That's a fair shout. I don't hate that.
No.
Okay, we got here 2002. Turkey's World Cup team was average, not bad, but still, and just got a really easy path to get bronze. That was from Seb Ball.
So Turkey, I mean that was quite a big shock, wasn't it, at the time? I remember being really surprised when they got to the semis because they weren't fancied at all. I know they had Brazil in the group stage, and they had Brazil again in the semis, which they obviously lost. I don't really know much more than that. I think they won with the golden goal earlier in the tournament. Maybe against Sweden, maybe, I'm not sure. But I mean, maybe they did have an easy run. We see that a lot, don't we, with teams?
Exactly. And it's classic, runs. Isn't it? You've got to play who you've got to play. You've got to play who's in front of you. And they went on a good run. And, certainly for us, one of our first World Cups, you do remember that Turkey team, don't you?
Could have been, it might be overrated because they obviously didn't qualify for the next World Cup.
Yeah.
I think they haven't qualified for World Cup since. So, yeah, maybe. Right, this is a good one. If Milan were winning 1-0 at half-time, instead of 3-0 in the 2005 Champions League final versus Liverpool, they would have won. Interesting. What do you think about that?
I think that's interesting because it's that, it's obviously 2-0 is the dangerous scoreline normally, isn't it? Almost maybe there was celebrations in that Milan dressing room. It's
understandably.
Yeah, with home and dry. Liverpool were terrible in that first half. They sat back. Liverpool were obviously galvanised. There's been film made about it and all that business. Totally turned it around. Obviously, when that first goal goes in, suddenly it's like, oh, this is back on here. Second one goes in, and as soon as that second one goes in, I think it's inevitable that the third goes in. Obviously, penalties, that whole thing, penalties are a lottery. But I think that's a fair shout. Maybe they wouldn't have shut up shop like they tried to in the second half.
Mind you, being 3-0 up, they should have.
Fair enough.
Won,
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, next one.
This is what I think you've said before, but we got shouted at a little bit for it by people who maybe this was their first World Cup, that the 2010 World Cup's overrated. One of the worst of the 21st century so far, but that's by the Albo Boy.
I agree.
Yeah, we agreed.
Rubbish.
We said it wasn't a great World Cup. Lots of people, like we've said before, if it's your first World Cup or your second World Cup, you're going to remember it fondly because it's a World Cup. A World Cup's a World Cup. But as a quality of those you remember, so from 2002 for you, maybe a little bit 98, but certainly 2002 to 2022, would you say it's the worst World Cup for you?
I'd say it was comfortably the worst. I did a whole video on it, didn't I? Worst World Cup. It wasn't very good. I mean, the goals there wasn't many. It was 2.27 a game, so really low. Negative football. I know, Mourinho's Catenaccio just won a treble for Inter Milan, and I feel like that was brought into the World Cup then. Even tiki-taka at the time was getting a bit boring.
Yeah.
It got a little bit repetitive. It wasn't good. There were so many 1-0s and 0-0s.
Yeah.
Penalties.
And obviously, dominated, like we said, by that tiki-taka.
Terrible final.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a terrible final.
Yeah, not good. It just had a good couple of songs. That's my opinion. The only 2010 World Cup is
best songs.
Just
best
on
songs.
Vibes basically.
Waka Waka and
Waving Flag.
Waving Flag.
Okay, right. Here's one. Sarri's Milan would have beaten Pep's Barcelona.
I like that.
Go on. You're a bit of a tactical.
Sarri's Milan, phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Regarded as those who remember it, which we're a little bit too young for, but certainly looked at it, read it, watched it, were revolutionaries in the early 90s.
And he, of course, was not a football man, was he? Really,
No.
He was sort of another job, wasn't it?
He was a bit of a surprise appointment.
And he played attacking football.
Yeah.
Which was revolutionary for Italian football at the time.
Yeah, totally against the way that you play Italian football. Revolutionised the game. Would they have beaten Pep's Barcelona? We'll never know.
No.
Pep's Barca were class.
Special, wasn't it?
They were absolutely class.
I will say Pep's Barcelona won 2 European Cups, Champions Leagues, and so did Sarri's Milan.
Yeah.
89 and 90. So you never know. I mean, it's a fantastic player. Baresi, Maldini.
Yeah.
Fantastic players. Right. Next one.
Okay. Here we go then. So it's 1971. England 1970 quarter-final versus West Germany. Alf Ramsey made the worst mistake of his career, taking off Bobby Charlton. But it wasn't tactical, it was through arrogance. It's the quarter-finals. You play your best team to the end. They didn't need protection from the heat.
Yes, I think he rested him, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he took him off to rest him for the semi. I think they thought, was it 2-0 up when they thought they were home and dry. And then, of course, come back from West Germany, revenge for 66. Yeah. I probably agree with that.
Yeah, and people call that 70 England side actually a better side, don't they, than the 66 side.
Yeah.
For some, they're devastated they actually didn't go on and repeat the World Cup triumph.
At least reach over semi. I think that's not a bad opinion, that one. Right, here's one for the Scotland fans. If Scotland had qualified for the 1966 World Cup, we'd have won it. What do you think about that?
Okay.
Now, all I will say is 1967, famous Wembley Wizards, when Scotland beat England 3-2 at Wembley. So Scotland had a very good team back in 66, but at the end of the day, they didn't qualify. So surely if they were good enough, they would have qualified in the first place.
Yeah, possibly so.
Interesting. But I think Scotland could have won World Cups if they had gone to earlier tournaments.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
50, 54 maybe, yeah.
They obviously didn't go to 50. We talked about it before because
definitely.
The humility of only one will go and the home nation's winner. They should have gone. They may have had a chance of winning it. Good shout. Okay, Sky Blue 72. Brazil 82. Some great players, beautiful to watch, but cannot be compared to Hungary 54 or Holland 74. You can't be the best team never to win the World Cup if you go out in the quarterfinals.
Well, I was thinking this the other day because we've done this. You have this conversation a lot, don't we? The best teams to never win the World Cup, and he is right. Hungary and Netherlands both lost the final. The Brazil 82 don't make the final. They don't make the semi-final. They go out, don't they, in the quarters in the second to Italy. And I saw maybe they can't be, but then they have such a cult following.
Yeah, Socrates and people like that, isn't it? Yeah.
And they play such beautiful football, similar to Hungary and Netherlands, and maybe they should be regarded. But yeah, I know what he means.
Yeah, I think it's a fair shout.
He's got a really fair.
And obviously, we are big fans of Holland 74 and Hungary 54. So we would both call them some of the best of all time too. Okay, another one then from Nat and Dommel. Messi and Ronaldo, Cristiano, barely make it into the top 10 players in history. They hit great football crisis, a time of triumph of physicality over skill.
Well, what I would say is physicality. Messi's not exactly the most physical of presence, is he?
No. Immensely skillful player.
Yeah.
I definitely think they're in the top 10 of all time.
What I would say is, someone said to me the other day, how football now isn't as skillful as it was 20 years ago. They say it's lost its flair, it's lost its Ronaldinho's. They don't get those sort of tricksters anymore. They're sort of like, who come onto the pitch and revolutionise it.
Yeah.
It is kind of quite a robotic game now. It is kind of a game where, is what's going to happen almost.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a bit of element to that. However, I think Messi, he's easy in the top 10.
It's where he cuts through any generation, really, isn't it? I think he was just at his peak. But even, like I said, he was doing for, what he's doing over for Inter Miami now.
Yeah.
Incredible. I saw it's a tweet the other day, not to us, but on Twitter, saying how everyone now is better than footballers 20 years ago. Which is just a crazy take. Physicality wise, different. So the point was Neville wouldn't start in the Premier League now. Maybe not, but what he did at the time in the Premier League was he was one of the best right backs in the Premier League of that time. I don't think you can compare football history, which we do drafts, we stick players in different teams.
Yeah,
we've got to take them in their merits of 1954 or in 58 or in 62 or in 66.
Yeah.
You cannot put them to now because, of course, modern physio and modern fitness is totally different, and so they would run them off the park. Doesn't mean they weren't skillful back then. They were playing with different ball, they were playing with different technology, different boots, different kit.
And you got to take him in their time as well. Like you say about physicality and even so physical now, but someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, when they were back there 20 years ago, they weren't scoring 50 goals a season. But what they've done is they've adapted their game to suit the game
where it's
heading. So you can't really say he's not good enough to be in it because he is that good in the game that he's playing in.
Yeah.
As Pele was in his time.
Exactly that. And Puskás is like for like then. Of course, Ronaldo and Messi are more fit than him. But at the time, he was physically also very, very good for his time. It was, you've got to compare them to the players around them. I'd put both of them. Ronaldo, even though I don't like the man, I'd put him still top 10, definitely of all time.
Yeah. Right, should we do one more then?
One more.
Wembley is not, this is from the Hamden collection, Wembley is not and never has been the home of football. Thoughts? We actually did a top 10 stadiums, didn't we, of all time?
Yeah, check that out.
We did put Wembley at the top.
We did, old Wembley as well.
But that doesn't mean it's the home of football.
No.
I know what you mean. It's only been there since 23. It got knocked down 2000, rebuilt 2007. So it's got, it's not got the longest history. There's certainly stadiums that are far older than it.
Witness some mighty moments though.
It has, isn't it? And I think it gets the name of home of football because it's in England, isn't it? And England like to, brag about
Twickenham, the home of rugby,
game,
etc. It's a very
Lord's
English perspective.
So it's an interesting one. I think that's up for debate, definitely.
Yeah.
There's definitely certain stadiums that would love to challenge that one, definitely. Yeah. And I think that'll probably be
keep them coming though. We love hearing these opinions.
Fantastic. Yeah, let us know any more unpopular opinions in the comments below because we can feature those on the video next time. We'll probably do a part 3.
Yeah.
So I quite like discussing those. So thanks so much for watching part 2. Let us know what you'd like to do next, and we'll see you again for the next one very soon.